Welcome to So Much to Talk About, and it's my pleasure to have the Executive Director of New Heights, Mr. Rich Sudo. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, Nabaté. It's a pleasure to be here.
I wanted to ask you, when did you start as the Executive Director here at New Heights, and how long have you been at New Heights as well?
I started a little over a year ago, and I replaced Nick Blatchford, the founder and former executive director of New Heights. So it's been just over a year. I had my year anniversary recently, and it seems like it's been a milestone already. After 1 year, we've tried to achieve a lot here, and it's been happening.
Yes, it has been for sure. And I wanted to ask you, how special is this program from the standpoint of how you came up, your background, and how special is it to see a program like this really flourish as the years go on?
Well, I think one thing me and the rest of the staff all have in common is that we've all had a student-athlete background, and we've all had an experience that has enabled us to become who we are today, either as professionals or coaches or other folks involved with young people, that was generated by our participation in sport as a young person. So as a person growing up, sport was probably everything in my life. Spent all season long, 3 sports as a high school player, very active summer, went on to play football in college, which happened to be my sport of choice, but really developed an appreciation for what sport means to young people, the types of values and character qualities that sport can build in kids. And so, being a part of New Heights is just a dream for me. If you can imagine someone who enjoys working with young people, enjoys college access and the philosophy behind the work we do, but especially enjoys being involved with a sport all day long, it's really sort of a dream to be involved in this type of a program.
You attended Boston University, which is one of the top schools in the country, and I wanted to ask you, what lessons, as you were developing as a student athlete, what lessons did you learn that you've shared with your students now?
Well, one thing I'd go by is that my student-athlete experience was mediocre at best. So one thing I aspire to our young people is to be a better student-athlete than I ever was. But I can say this. I can say that one thing we talk a lot about to our kids is how can you use the sport that you love and the amount of energy and enthusiasm, commitment you've created toward that sport, how can you use that as an opportunity to gain new access for yourself? So in New Heights, then we can talk a little bit about what New Heights does with young people, but that includes gaining access to great high schools because of their sport, gaining access to new experiences because of their involvement in the sport, meaning travel, meeting new types of people, and being involved in different activities that they otherwise wouldn't. And lastly and finally, what we hope for all of our kids is to get access to college through their enthusiasm for the sport.
So a wonderful graphic. 100% of the students in New Heights have moved on to colleges, and wow, talk about I know you do mentoring here. There's mentoring, there's tutoring. Talk about the schedule and for the average student here, and also too, like, what the sacrifices the students have to make to be able to maintain that level of excellence.
Sure. Well, I'll break it down a little bit. I'll start with really the mission of New Heights. And we like to say our mission is to inspire young people to be leaders, champions, and student athletes, and to empower them to be successful in high school, college, and life. And what that translates into is a program that involves young people, boys and girls, at a young age in the program. And we start with our young boys as young as 9 years old. When you're a 9-year-old and you're prior to high school joining this program, you get involved in our after school and Saturday program and in our summer academy. And what that means is you come after school 2 to 3 days per week. You go into our academic resource center, what we call the ARC. We give you a little tour of that. In the ARC, you get some schoolwork done, and you work on math and language arts lessons that are taught by certified teachers that we hire to work with the young people. And then after you get your 2 hours of schoolwork done, you go down to the gym for your team workout. And really that idea of coupling an academic focus with their athletic workouts and team practices is really the whole premise of New Heights. So as a young person, the middle school and elementary kids end up in our summer academy. They have that same experience where the morning is dedicated to an academic program. So they do math, language arts classes, as well as an elective course that they get to choose. And then they have lunch, and after that it's a basketball camp for the rest of the day. So we're constantly trying to emphasize, just like we use the term student athlete, we're constantly trying to emphasize the balance in their life between focusing on their education and focusing on basketball.
Talk about the future plans for New Heights in 2008, 2009.
Sure. As a matter of fact, it's a critical time for New Heights because we're just getting involved in a planning process for the organization where we're working with staff and our board of directors to talk about sort of what are our priorities for the future? What do we want to do with this program moving forward? Just to give you some context, right now we serve about 205 young people, boys and girls, as I mentioned, as early as 10 years old through 18. And so some of our key questions are, where do we need to make more investment in our young people's futures? Should we be starting earlier with a more intensive academic program? Do we need more high school support programming? Can we grow? And if so, when? And if so, where? Because right now we're located in the Bronx. We serve kids from all over the city and even the metropolitan area. So I think there's an opportunity to serve more kids in this city. But I think also replication of New Heights is a potential option for us as long as our board and our staff decide that we want to take that on and we want to move into a new community to provide our service. There's no shortage of young people playing basketball, grassroots basketball out there in the city and every other city you can name. But there is a real shortage of kids who are in a basketball program that's focused on their student athlete experience and focusing on them being a student and an athlete. So what we're trying to do is figure out what '08, what '09, what '10 might look like for New Heights in terms of growth, expansion, and doing what we do even better.
I want to say this program is really doing magnificent things for a short period of time. It's really wonderful. And thank you for taking time out, Rich.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's my pleasure.